Ladies and gents, I regret to inform you all I had a medical emergency yesterday. I had to go and see my GP. Turns out walking around with a 20-hour rage boner 7 days a week, bad for your health. Yeah, divert all the blood to your chopper. I thought I was having a stroke. Anyway, after seeking professional help, finally got it to calm down a bit. Come home feeling much better. Soon as I boot my PC up, my old pal Nick Buckley MBE's there. And I know he's a balding middle-aged man, but he does a better job of engorging me than Sydney Sweeney trying to prise her knickers out of her arse crack. You can't make this crap up. He has his TV back in the hope he behaves. We have no prison service, only state-funded Butlins camps. And the story he's linked to is this one from The Sun. And I know it's rage bait, but I just can't help myself. Rage-stoking right-wing tabloid fodder is my bread and butter. I like it like a fat kid likes cake. Exclusive from The Sun. Fiends jail treats. Furious Southport monster wins back jail perks, including TV after prison officer attack as bosses bribe him to behave. Reform MP Richard Tice says he is appalled by the move. Fury. I'll stop you there, Sun editor, because to call me furious does a disservice to the word fury. I am incandescent with hatred. If you can look at a picture of those little girls whose lives were snuffed out and not have your blood pressure racing into the 8-digit zone, you're a better man than me. So I'm going to walk through this story because I don't know, I guess it'll make me feel better talking about it. This is like therapy, except I've got an erection the whole time. I mean, it's kind of like Tony Soprano, isn't it? I'm sure he had a fatty on, but he was on the couch as well. So we'll read this, and I'll give you my thoughts. I think I can sum up without having to go through the whole thing, though, by simply saying it's time to fire up old Sparky. Right then, let's have a quick read through this. That'll stoke the calls. I think I'd start my own government department. I'd have 500 council workers and a team of engineers building industrial scale wood chippers, the likes of which ye've never seen afore. We could throw great redwoods into the wood chippers I'd build. They'd have titanium blades and be solar powered. We'd chew through the detritus of society at a speed that you would never see coming. Apparently, Mr. Rudukanubu, and by the way, I'll stop you, woke lefties, because I've had a few mentions. No, I won't pronounce his name properly. Don't you get it? I purposely mispronounce his name because I'm not even going to give him the respect of doing that, of learning it. I'm dehumanizing him. I think his continued existence is an insult to the human race. David Starkey's great on this stuff. He pointed out that we need to leave the ECHR and there is no such thing as universal human rights because there's no such thing as a universal human. And that's one of the most base things I've ever heard an old man say. What do you mean universal human rights? Are you trying to tell me we should have a bog standard? I mean, even the verbiage is very commie, right? But do you honestly think we should have a bog standard for everyone on planet Earth? That the little girls who survived getting aerated with a meat cleaver by Mr. Rudukanubu should be treated exactly the same as the bloke who did the stabbing? Do you? Do you think that? Because I don't. I think there's no universal anything. And someone like Jeffrey Dahmer, who eats people, maybe shouldn't be treated the same as Mother Teresa. Although, according to Christopher Hitchens, she was a bit of a knobhead as well. Now that I think about it, I can't actually think of any genuinely nice people. Not famous ones. All perverts and deviants and weirdos. Peter Hitchens, he can be my nice person. He donates blood and that, and he seems very charitable. We'll go with him. Anyway, back to the story. So there he is, loving life. Look at his face there. This is what I'm saying about these people. What use are there? What's the point in keeping them around? He ended little girl's existence and he just sits there looking like it's a big inconvenience. I'm all for rehabilitation. I'm all for rehabilitation when there's a cause and effect, when there's a root cause. Burglars burgling people because he was addicted to drugs. addicts and gamblers and pissheads and if there's any logical root cause for why someone's doing something awful and you think there's a sensible way to rehabilitate them, I mean, we might disagree there. But yeah, I'm not totally averse to the idea. However, if you've done something so bad, so monstrous, that the entirety of society, other than brain-dead left-wing activists like Zoe Gardner, who don't really believe the shite they spew, they definitely don't. They say it to get on television. In fact, I might segue into that at the end of this video, because I've seen an absolute corker today. There's no way they believe what they're saying. So other than them, disingenuous liars, polite society sees no value in feeding, clothing and housing the worst human beings imaginable. So if it hasn't sank in yet, I am a passionate advocate for not just capital punishment. I'm a passionate advocate of industrial scale capital punishment. I'd have the likes of Ian Huntley and Rudukanubu engaging in televised death matches for the pleasure of the people. Be like ancient Rome, except it'd be televised and you could text in the weapons you'd want them to use on each other. And then we could use the proceeds from the Big Brother style text messaging campaigns to compensate the victims. This is a genius idea. Anyway, I'm rambling. Southport monster Rudukanubu has won back privileges, including a TV and DVD player, to encourage him to behave. Oh, what about the encouragement brick? I know I've patented a lot of named bricks on this channel, but how about the encouragement brick? It'd work a treat. Every time you misbehave, you viciously tap the corner of it on his bell end. Easy. The triple child killer who hurled boiling water at a guard in May has had his regime raised from basic to standard. Also, quick point, he's only a triple child killer because modern technology has advanced to such a point that we can keep people alive with horrific injuries. Some of the stuff he did to those little girls, I've seen the pictures, they filled me with a cold fury. It's easy to look through a telescopic scope and put a man down when you need to. It's pretty easy to do that. But I always thought I might balk at the idea of having to do it up close and personal with a garrote or something. I mean, I'm a bootneck, I'm sure I could have handled it. But I'll tell you what, looking at this fella, after all that he's done and reading about him, it's made me reevaluate. I think if I was the state executioner, I wouldn't even need an axe. I think I'd be so fired up, I could bash them round the head with a particularly fluffy pillow for enough time until they eventually expired. Like, even if it took me a week, I'd feel not the slightest hint of remorse. I'd get off on it. Yeah, I would. I'd enjoy it. I'd do it for free. I'd pay a subscription. I'd give the government $6.99 a month to be allowed to be the state executioner. So there you go. Another money-saving tip from the Bootneck. There's one less civil servant we'd need under my beneficent regime. This means Axel gets more money to spend in the canteen. Gets more money to spend. What the You do realise when he gets money, that's coming straight out your arse pocket, don't you? You're a taxpayer. Think of that. He kills your children and you buy his Maltesers. Think of that. Rudukanubu also has increased access to workshops, the library and the gym at Belmarsh. Workshops and library. Sorry, is this a retirement community? He's a bit young for a retirement community, isn't he? It's outrageous they've raised him to standard. They're basically bribing him to behave by saying, we'll give you a telly and you can keep it if you don't attack anyone. It's unbelievable. He's got Freeview TV with 25 channels, apparently. I love the way the Sun just only ever calls him a feed. More money on his phone credit. Who does he ring? I want to know who he's phoning. Find out who he's ringing, go around their house, give them 25 year and all. Who wants to talk to him? If you want to talk to him, you sympathise with his views, so lock them up as well, for good measure. They can share a cell. If we can't get rid of his gym equipment, at least make him share it with someone. Time out of his cell, more money for the canteen, and a DVD player. Nice one. I like the way they say he will get Freeview TV with about 25 channels, but his access to films will be limited. What, he's not allowed to watch Texas Chainsaw Massacre? Well, we don't want to give him any ideas, do we? Do they think endlessly putting Sesame Street on loop will make him, what, a pleasant, splendid chap who we can rehabilitate back into society? Pull the plug. Pull the plug. Not on the telly, on the immigrant. Rudukanubu is cock-a-hoop about the change, but I doubt the officer who had boiling liquid chucked in his face, will be. Yeah, I'm sure he's less pleased. Richard Tice said, I'm appalled. He's being rewarded for bad behaviour. It's the opposite of what should be happening. Well done, Richard, stating the blindingly obvious there. Inmates on basic regime get £5.50 a week to spend. Why? Those on standard get £20 and can work up to enhanced level with even more privileges if they... Yeah, but why though? Why? Who thinks this is a good idea? Who in the general public, i.e. the people that pay for all of this cockamamie nonsense, who thinks that's a good idea? When I was a little kid, this is only the 80s, my mum always used to tell me you only got bread and water in jail. Turns out you get money for buying Maltesers. Well, why did it get anything? And why is it left to a boring, plain old member of the public to talk about this stuff? Why do they get anything? A simple scheme. If some clever psychologist decided that you have to try and incentivise good behaviour, why doesn't basic mean you get 12 hours a day breaking rocks? Standard means you get 8 hours a day breaking rocks. And enhanced level makes 4 hours a day breaking rocks. Simple. Thought of that on the fly. That was easy, wasn't it? How much will that save us? If there's 100,000 convicts getting 20 quid a week, that's too much money. Make them do hard labour and lower the amount of labour they do depending on the behaviour. Piece of piss. Costs you nothing. You can have that for now. In fact, if you made them do labour that paid, I don't know, logging or some shit, bring back the chain gangs, we could make them pay for their own incarceration. Fantastic. But no, we can't do that because human rights, universal human rights. That's what the Guardian readers like, so that's what we have to have. Because they might be in a minuscule minority, but they get to make all the rules, because that's democracy, ladies and gentlemen. Don't even show me. Don't do that, son. They're just trying to rag me up and it's working. I'm going to have to call the doctor again. And there's a few pictures of McCoy's Crips and Maltesers just to drive it home. Okay, furious. Driven wild with rage. Thanks for that, son. Love it. Cheers, lads. It's unbelievable. It's unbelievable. Can we not all agree that you're living in a police state? The government's tyrannising you. Foreigners can fly their flags, but you can't fly yours. And a policy which would have almost universal public support. If you were to have a referendum, like the Brexit referendum, and say to the entirety of the British people, should the angry Bootneck pull Rudukanubu out of his cell, drag him out of his hole on national television, and promptly bludgeon him to death with a big spiky dildo while everybody points and laughs, I guarantee 80% of the country, bam, we're all on board with that. So why is it not happening? If democracy is such a good idea, give the people what they want, okay? Or disagree with me and keep feeding him taxpayer-funded Maltesers. The choice is yours, ladies and gentlemen. I haven't got time to talk about the other thing I was going to do, which is this brain-dead mental case saying he should have a 100% inheritance tax. Love, amazing. Like I said, they don't even believe it themselves. They're just trying to get on the BBC. We'll have to cover that tomorrow. All right. Thanks for tuning in, ladies and gents. Let me know what you think in the comments as usual. Subscribe and like and share and all that bollocks if you can be bothered. And I'll see you all tomorrow. Toodle pip. Cheers.